Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the Palmetto State Armory two-stage trigger. Okay, so you can see what the hammer looks like. If you can the camera, a little bit of a funky hammer design, and then this is what the trigger looks like. Okay, now I ordered two of these from Palmetto. One's already installed in this gun over here. This is a Palmetto 223 Wild. Now the trigger that was in there was this, again, Palmetto match grade 3-pound trigger. Okay, so this is a drop-in trigger. This was working great, just fine for me. Okay, with this trigger here, with match grade ammo, I can get like 1/2-inch groups in this Palmetto 223 Wild 18-inch barrel. Okay, now over here I have a Ruger MPR. Okay, now this is an 18-inch cold hammer forged barrel. So this one came with a two-stage trigger. Okay, so one of the things I had noticed is while both of these rifles can hit 1/2-inch groups with 1/2-inch groups with match grade ammo, and 1-inch groups with just good ammo, right? Like this Wolf WM193 Wolf Gold. I have hit 1-inch groups in both of those rifles. One of the things I had noticed is that the Ruger MPR with the two-stage trigger hits the groups, the better groups, more frequently. So the thing I became aware of is that I like shooting the two-stage trigger better than the 3-pound match grade trigger. Okay, it's good, right? This is just like purely personal preference. Okay, I like that slack, right? Because there's a little bit of slack when you press the little take up. I prefer that. I just feel more comfortable, like I know where the shot's going to break, versus the three-stage, just the match trigger that just has a crisp break. Personal thing, I just like the other one better. Now here's the thing, I did want to put a two-stage trigger in this gun over here. However, I wasn't willing to pay $150 to $200 for it. Okay, which is more or less the going price of these two-stage triggers. Over the Black Friday holiday, I saw that Palmetto was selling these for about $75–80, and I said, "Great, I'll take two." Okay, so one of them is already in this 223 Wild over here. This Palmetto 223 Wild. You can see what it looks like. Okay, I mean, obviously, it just looks like a trigger there, right? But I'll kind of hold it in the camera. So when you press this, right, there's a very tiny take up. So there's not a whole lot of take up. Oops, falling over. Tiny little take up, and then it breaks. Okay. Now comparing it to the Ruger MPR, okay, this one has a little bit more take up. Okay. Okay. So comparing it to Ruger MPR, there's a little bit more take up over here, which I kind of like better. But here's the thing, like today I'm conscious of it because I'm like paying attention to it. I think that as like on a regular day when I go to shoot this gun, I'm not gonna really feel that difference. Now obviously with these type of triggers, you're pretty much shooting, you want to be shooting it barehanded, or with, like, if you're going to use gloves, they got to be like really light gloves. I definitely do not recommend these light triggers on any home defense gun. Okay, you come up, right, because you got a bad guy that's, I don't know, about to whatever, you come up, you need to shoot, and then all of a sudden, like, they strike your battle down, and now you're fighting over the gun, right, trying to get to your pistol. This light trigger here in the scuffle probably has a better chance of getting activated versus your standard mil-spec, which is like, what, 5 to 8 pounds. So yeah, you don't want a light trigger on your home defense gun. Okay? But for distance shooting, it is a great tool. Okay? So you got, in my opinion, I mean, that's how I see it. You know, it has a very specific role for distance shooting, for competition. I would not want to use that in a combat type of situation. Let's. I took some shots with it today using this Wolf WM 193. Not my best day. What is that tape? No, not my best day. The first 3 shots that I took, you know, with the cold barrel, they were like 2.5 inches. That's the circle ones. 1, 2, 3. Then I took another 3 shots, you know, holding underneath this bullseye here. That's the square ones. 1, 2, 3. So that got me in at 2 inches. And then I took another 3 shots. That's the ones that don't have any markings. 1, 2, 3. That came down to 1.25 inches. So if I keep working at this, you know, I know I can get this ammunition in at about 1 inch. Okay. I think what was happening today is I was like, as I was shooting, I was kind of like thinking about the trigger more than thinking about my hold. Okay. But you know, I mean, I definitely like this 2-stage trigger better than this the match grade 3-pound trigger. Okay, so again, that's personal preference. There's nothing wrong with this Palmetto 3-pound match grade trigger. It's just I prefer the 2-stage. Now, one of the things, like I said, there's definitely less take-up, less slack compared to the Ruger MPR. The brake feels about the same. I'll do it again. I mean, it's such a small difference that, like, when you're actually using the gun, unless you're actually thinking about the trigger, you're not gonna. I mean, there's a difference there. This one has a little bit more take-up. The brake is slightly different. But here's the thing with these triggers: we're talking about such a subtle difference that, like, I got one trigger in that gun, and I got another one here. When I installed this in the AR-10, this one might feel just a little bit different, you know. But I mean, it won't feel very different, but it might feel a little bit different. Now, one of the things I want to do is I want to actually compare this 2-stage trigger to the mil-spec trigger. Okay? So first, let's look at the hammer. Okay. And actually get behind it. Because this is kind of like a point of curiosity that I had. Like, what is the difference? Okay, so the bottom part doesn't seem very different. The sear, you got a sear over here, right, where it catches. You got a sear over here where it catches. The disconnect, the part that connects with the disconnectors up here. Here, this part here seems to catch. Okay, now I'm not 100% sure. I'm just, you know, we're just looking at it because it's okay. So you see that difference there. Now let me show you the trigger, and there's definitely a difference in the trigger. So you look at this trigger. So this on the right is the mil-spec trigger, right? And then your mil-spec disconnector. Well, look over here. There's a trigger, right? Now the disconnector, I can see in here, right? There's underneath that hook, it seems to come out just a tiny little bit. Okay, but look at this piece here. What the hell is that? Okay, so that's obviously not on this trigger. Okay, so this thing kind of comes in on both sides. So let me match it up now to the hammer. All right, so the way these two interact like this. Okay, so your primary sear, your main sear is going to be this. So this is going to come back. It's going to go in there. when you press it, right, the trigger's gonna come down, and that's gonna release this, right? So that's the primary sear. Okay, your disconnector is usually back here. Is this one? That's usually your disconnector. What I'm not 100% sure is what role this part over here plays. That ends up in there. That's what I'm not sure. Okay, so anyway, that's what it looks like. At some point, I'll figure it out. That's what it looks like. In fact, actually, let's do this. We have it done. Actually, I haven't checked of it earlier. Let's take this gun apart. All right, let me kind of see what happens. So you push this down, right? So that's on the primary. Okay. So it looks like it has two primaries. Let's see if you guys are able to see it, right? Keep knocking this camera. So it comes down. So right now it's on the primary. So it looks like both the primary, looks like the primary and this other one over here both engage at the same time. So it seems, I'm not 100% sure, it seems like it has a double engagement. I don't know if they maybe did that because it's such a light, because in order for it to be, maybe because it's such a light trigger, right? Because I think that once you take up the slack, I mean the slack's like less than a pound, then it's like 2.5 pounds for the to release it. Maybe they felt that they needed two primaries just because it's so light. I don't know. Okay, so that's an I don't know question. That's an I don't know right now. Maybe one of you guys watching this knows, right? Maybe one of you guys has a little bit more experience with taking apart these two-stage triggers, because quite honestly, I never took the two-stage trigger out of this Ruger MPR. I never had a reason to. The gun was just working great. I love the gun, so I've got no reason to take it apart. So this is really the first time today that I'm looking at this two-stage trigger. Okay? Now, one of the things I found interesting, like I said, that first stage, I found it to be like really light, like I could you can feel it with bare skins. And I said, I mean that first stage, I'm pretty sure is created by this trigger spring over here. And then what I did is I took out a mil-spec one, like this mil-spec over here, right? And I've got these two, and I'm pushing on them. And this one seems actually, it's kind of funny because this one over here seems a little bit stiffer than this one. Oops, dropped it. This one actually seems a little bit stiffer, but the thing is, you normally really don't even, because the mil-spec trigger is not a two-stage, so you're never really that aware of it. But I have another one here, right, on this mil-spec trigger. Now this one's a lot stiffer. Okay. So not all trigger springs are the same. So if we compare these two, actually, let me put these together. So these are both mil-spec triggers here. Okay, so I've matched these up. Let me get them even. So as I get them even, right, what you'll notice is the stiffer one, which is closer to the camera, sits a little bit higher. So that's making it a little bit stiffer, right? So again, these are perfectly matched up. So not all trigger springs are the same, even in a mil-spec kit, right? You get one mil-spec kit versus another, So what I don't feel like taking that trigger out, but at some point, if I get back in there, maybe when I change the grip on that gun, I think I might replace. I might take the stiffer trigger spring off of this trigger and put it in there, so that'll give me a little bit, so I can feel that take up a little bit better. Now I realize a lot of people aren't going to like that and aren't going to want to do that. I like, just to give you guys an example, I like Glock triggers. Okay, I leave my Glock triggers like standard. Okay, I like that take up. So that's me. I like, you know. So a lot of people are going to be very satisfied with the way this feels, right? With having that minimal take up, what you can barely feel, and then that light 2.5 to 3 pounds. I haven't measured it, but I know other people have said that it's like 2.5 to 3 pounds. If you grip the trigger a little bit lower, you have like when if you put your finger like more towards the bottom, you've got more leverage. If you put it more towards the top, you know, just a little bit higher, it's going to feel a little bit stiffer. So that does seem to make a difference. Okay, so those are my initial impressions on this Palmetto State Armory nickel boron trigger assembly. Okay, so a couple of months down the road, I might do a follow-up review on this, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be satisfied, because first, if the trigger works, and I have no reason to think it's not going to work, okay, because it's mil-spec, right? They didn't change. It's mil-spec for the most part, and then they made a few additions to it. But the basic concept of how this thing works is kind of the same, right? You know, it's just that you got like a secondary primary over here. So it's kind of the same. It's, you know, two pieces, you know, so I don't think I'm going to have a problem with this. You know, the groups seem to be decent. Okay, it's not my best shooting, but they're decent. I managed to get 1.25 inches, right? That was these 3 shots over here. 1, 2, 3. So anyway, those are my thoughts on this. Drop some comments below. Add any additional information that you might have for my benefit, for the benefit of other people. And I'll talk to you all soon.